Hi, and welcome back. I see you keep coming back for more. You know, it's getting a lot hotter outside, so we thought we'd crank up the heat a little bit on the inside. Today, we've got Pastor Nick making for you some of his world-famous 3-alarm salsa. It's a hot one. I'm sure you'll enjoy it a lot. So we're out of the bacon into just cooking. Here it comes. Hope you enjoy it.
Well, how's it going, First Baptist? Today I'm going to try and show you, emphasis on try, how to make really easy spicy salsa. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not high caliber, get it del taco kind of salsa. We all know my culinary skills aren't that good. But the goal today is to make something fun, festive, with a bit of heat that goes good on eggs, it goes good on chips or with chips, and goes good on pretty much anything. I just eat spoonfuls of it. It's great. So let's get to cooking, First Baptist style. First thing you're going to need, it's under 10 ingredients. So you'll first need, of course, olive oil. You'll need a head of cilantro. Sorry for those of you that it tastes like soap. You can just pour some of that in there. It'll be just fine. You'll need, well, you won't need a knife, but you'll need a lime. You'll need a couple chunks of garlic, some serrano peppers, white onion, either a big onion like this red onion, which you also need, or smaller white onions, and then a bunch of Roma tomatoes. Make sure you remove that because that adds a little unnecessary fiber. And of course, something to remember when all of this is only do this if you are an adult or a responsible teenager or you're supervised by an adult, because that is not what you want to be messing with. So make sure you got your folks' permission to do this or you're being supervised. And also, because you'll be using a searing hot cast iron pan with said olive oil in it, that's very hot. You can see, I don't know if you can see the smoke coming off it, but you'll need to be supervised for that as well. So it's good to have that thing going. Probably crank that up to high. Have a window open or two. There's Allison and there's Nolan. He's asleep. And so yeah, that's what you need. And also, of course, salt and pepper. Or salt and pepper. So, serranos, garlic, lime, Roma tomatoes, white onion, red onion, I think I said salt and pepper, olive oil, and cilantro. So, just under 10 ingredients, and you can mix and match. We'll go over that in a sec, but that's big picture what you will need. And so, in portioning, what I do is, this one is for what serrano is equivalent to, I think it's like, I can't remember how many Scoville units, but it's way hotter than a regular jalapeno. So what you'll want is, think of this as adding some kick to your salsa. This is adding some heat, and this is adding some sweat to your salsa. So 3 serranos means it'll be pretty hot. If you're a wimp like me, 1 is probably good. If you're feeling adventurous like me, 2 is pretty good. If you're feeling like you can really just clean yourself out and get a sweat going, like I'm going to be doing, 3. So, and you want about a full onion, white and red, so you want 2 onions, and these are a little small, these Roma tomatoes. Usually you want 4 to 6, but since these are a little small, 6 is equivalent to about 4 or 5. Garlic, you'll want about this amount, so about 1, 2, 3, about 3 to 5 chunks of garlic, depending on their size, a whole lime, and you'll need about 2 tablespoons of that, and about 1 whole head of cilantro. So that'll kind of break down the actual ingredient. And we throw about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there. And before I forget, you will need a blender. That's important. Need more blender, did you? So yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to, and I'll show you this, but you'll dice these into chunks. You'll leave the Roma tomatoes entirely whole. You'll smash these, but don't dice them. You want them to be in pieces so you can pick them up. Dice that, and leave the stems on these when you throw them in. The goal with this is to get it all blackened and cooked, and it's fine if they're squishy, you want them soft and all that. The lime, just set that off to the side with cilantro. So, alright, so that's it. And you'll probably want some resealable, I have some mason jars, make sure they're clean. But yeah, you'll want something that'll seal and trap it in. So, away we go. Some quick safety tips. If you're using a knife, like I said, ask your folks. Because you'll be handling these, don't touch your face or any other part of your body. Don't rub your eyes, don't do anything. Just wash your hands as soon as you're done with all that, because I found out the hard way. I'm not going to tell you what happened. Use your imagination. It's awful. So make sure you wash your hands when handling spicy stuff. All right, and so now that the garlic's done, this is what the white onion should look like. Let's see if I can get it to focus. You cut off the top and the bottom. So for example, you can see here, you cut off the top and the bottom. Boy, my focus. There we go. Come on. There we go. You cut that off and you remove kind of the outside so it's like that. And so, because I only have one hand, I'm not going to show you. But basically you want it to be in chunks, big old chunks about, can I do it with one hand? Let's see. No, I'm not going to do it with one hand. But, cube it into like quarters, and it's okay if it falls apart and stuff like that. But you want them to be in bigger pieces so that way they're easier to pick up. So I'll show you everything once I throw it in the pan. And what you're going to want to do is, before you throw everything in the pan, get about one of these on each size, red onion and white onion, and just set them off to the side. That'll come in play later, so I'm going to do the red onion in a sec. But yeah, save yourself about a sixth or a quarter of it, and trust me, it'll come into play later. You can save up to half, a little more than that if you'd like, but trust me, that'll come into play later. All right, and so that's how the red onion will look, the white onion, the smashed garlic, the serranos, just leave them as are, the Roma tomatoes. And so you got the stuff set over there. All right, now we're just going to move this over to, let's see if we can do this without knocking everything off. Yes, cool, okay. So let's move this over here. And so the pan, as you can see, is smoking hot. You want to get the oil back and cover everything. Make sure, like I said, you are responsible and safe about this. It'll make a mess all over there. But let me turn the surface light on a little. There we go. Come on. There we go. All right, so first thing you do, very gently, you start setting. You won't be able to necessarily fit everything in there at once. That's completely fine. There's no harm in waiting and all that. Serranos and all that like that. And it'll start making big old popping sounds. Probably turn it down. I have it about a 4 out of 10. So let's move those there. And we'll want to throw all the garlic in. Because the garlic, you can't wait on that. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And just maintain your distance. If you have let's see, do we have it in here? No. Well, this will be fun. But if you can, put something over the top to take care of the splatter. So let's do that. And that's what it'll look like. And the trick is to do two things with this. You want the char to happen on the outside of them. You want the skin to turn black and kind of all that, like it's burning. And you also want them to soften. So this will kind of do that for us. It'll soften them up, which is what you want. And if the tomatoes burst, that's completely fine. I mean, don't squeeze them out or anything, but if they burst, that's fine. And so that's about half of it right there. And the rest of it's going to go, all of it's going to go straight into that blender. So now is the fun part. You wait and see exactly what happens with this. But yeah, you can hear it. I wish you could smell it. It smells fragrant. It smells spicy. It smells sweet. And the goal of this recipe is to create a salsa that is, of course, got a lot of heat, but it also has plenty of spice because the serrano will actually change in flavor. And the onions and stuff will become sweet. I mean, you can actually pick up an onion like this. I don't know if you can see me, but and you can just eat it. You actually get a sense of how sweet it is. I mean, it's strong, but you get a sense of how it tastes. And with age, if you leave that in the fridge for a day or two, it'll become a lot more sweet. And that goes really good with those. And of course, eating the onion makes it a lot easier to keep from frying. So, grab this. Here, salt, red, and pepper right there. And the olive oil. So, yeah. Now you just kind of wait, give it a good 60, 90 seconds per side. There's no rush. And just make sure you get it all going right. And, yeah, it's pretty cool so far. See how it's getting that color right there? That's exactly what you want on all sides. So maybe that's the peppers and the garlic will cook a little faster, and that's fine. Just take them out, toss them in the blender. But you can see they're already starting to sweat. They're starting to kind of fall apart. If you need to add a little more olive oil, that's completely fine. But yeah, that's exactly what you want. You want to see it start to turn that golden, darker color. You see it on the ridges right there. That's what you want. The more you have of that, the better it'll taste. And you want to make sure these get a good color as well. So just make sure you stir it, get it ready, and once you're happy with that, just cover it back up let it sit for a little bit, about another 30 or so seconds, maybe 60 seconds. Give it another shake and all that. Make sure everything gets cooked well. And yeah, then you just do that. Once that's all done, it could take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you want it. The longer, the better. And then you just throw it into there and cover it up and let it sit for a while, because that heat will kind of begin to keep everything nice and warm, but also break it down even further. And yeah, then you just repeat with everything that's in here. Woo! That's pretty. There we go. Set that right there. That's hot. So be careful. That is what I want to see. Look at that. Oh yeah. Look at that. Yep. Look at that. Perfect. There we go. See, these are beginning to get really ripe. You can see they're very soft. That's perfect. So I'm going to get ready to move those into the blender in a moment. I'll probably keep these in here for a few more minutes. But yeah, these are just all about ready to go in the blender. Then I'll do the next batch and throw it back in here. Alright, now that you got everything in there and it's nice and warm, I put the serranos out right here. And the thing you want to do with these, just to be safe, because, all that, is you want to gently, I'm doing this one hand, so let's do this right here. Just take off the stems, because those don't taste very good. So I throw them, seeds and all, in there. And then these will go right there. And then the rest of this, I'm just going to stick right in there. And cover this. You want this to stay warm because you want it to still continue to soften and to cook. So you can see all the fog. That's exactly what you want. And now back to the magic. And so this is what the final batch is going to look like. You're going to dice this. Some people go from half a head to a whole head of cilantro. I usually go a whole head because I actually like the taste of cilantro. You got your 2 limes here, and then you got this. So we're working on that at the moment, but this is kind of the final stage. That is still in there. Oh, that's nice and warm. That's still cooking. And these, I'm going to put the timer on. I forgot to do that for another 33 seconds. 33 seconds, because I'll be 33 on Monday. And, well, June 29. And I'll let this continue. Make sure it's on. You don't have to have a perfect seal, but, you want that heat to kind of stay. You'll see it kind of escaping, over here and stuff like that. So we'll check that in about 30 seconds. And then I'll transfer this over, and then we'll get to the fun part. The rule of this is kind of like the military, United States military. Leave no person behind. For us, leave no detritus behind. You want all of it. Get off, there we go. Even that little bit right there. So now Mr. Serrano can go right here and begin to soften up. And then the final chunks of onion can go in. Don't worry, we'll pull the Serrano out in a minute, but just a little more olive oil just to give it a little bit of that. And cover it back up. And the Serrano will probably be ready in about, I want to say about 30 seconds, but that's what it all looks like in there. You see all that steamy goodness, everything's soft, squishy, which is just what you want. You want those tomatoes to retain as much juice as possible so that when you throw it in, like right there, it'll taste great. So, and only thing is, remember, don't know if I have it over here. Yep. Make sure you remove the stem from the Serrano, that Serrano, when you throw it in here. That's not me saying it for you. That's saying it for me because I don't want to forget, because that's the last thing I need. Salt and peppered. And now, the moment of truth. I feel like I should do this in slow motion. Alright, so final step. I'm doing it with my hands. This big old thing of roasted onions right there. Right there. I'm just using my hands because, I can. I'm an adult. I do what I want. That's actually not true. But
I like to think so. So those two will go in the fridge once I put the caps on them. And the rest of it is right over here. So I'm going to bring it over. Move these over. Grab the rest. Just throw it in here. And this is just something I'm going to eat it just throughout the day because, well, this is awesome. So now there you go. You've got salsa. You've got the onions will give the trick with this as a final wrap up. The onions will keep it from getting too hot, and the onions will give it that crunch and that sweetness. So you'll have a mix of rustic kind of smokiness and kind of hot sweet. So it's kind of wonderful. So it's not the nicest way of doing it, but here's just some tortilla, and I'm not going to show you me eating it because that's chef's privilege. That wasn't smart. That's a lot of hot sauce. Yep, that is very hot, and if you leave these two in the fridge overnight, that heat will kind of dissipate a little bit and turn into more sweetness, so it'll be a really complex flavor.
That is how you make relatively simple, tasty, hot salsa. So recap, just tomatoes, onions, olive oil, cilantro, and some lime juice, and garlic. And onions, I think I mentioned. And yeah, really simple to do. Took me, I mean, you do it right, it takes about 30 minutes or so, but you've got these two things, that'll save you, and they'll keep in the fridge. We ate it throughout the time, but we had a whole one in the fridge, and it lasted about 3 days, just fine. And we ate it, so it could probably last up to a week if you leave it in the fridge. I'm not going to show you me eating this, but just to recap, relatively simple ingredients. The fresher the ingredients, the more organic the ingredients, the better it'll taste. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to Kevin, Rod, and Garrett for all that they do. And yeah, so cheers to all of you. And well, I'd say see you on Sunday, but you'll probably see me on Sunday before I see you on Sunday. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and cheers.